it's me, Erica, and so today is another Eri Substory. And what Eri Substories are, if this is your first time watching, is where I try new stuff and just kind of document it. And as you can tell by the title, I did ice skating this time around, and usually how these goes is I kind of tell you my why, how it happened, and would I do it again. So for the why, I've always been interested in ice skating ever since I was young, but it's one of those sports that are very expensive. So when I was younger, I really liked this movie that Disney put out called Ice Princess, which stars Michelle Trachtenberg. And actually during the filming, or like me doing this whole sub-story, she's unfortunately passed away. And I just had a lot of nostalgia for that movie, and also just really liked watching figure skating in general when I was growing up. So I really like watching Michelle Kwan and reading her books, and as well as, like, of course, when Yuzuru Hanyu was still a figure skater that was competing. I really liked watching him in the Olympics. For the most part, I really wanted to do ice skating because of Ice Princess. So to start my skating journey, it actually happened before on December 24th. Around like the holiday time, me and my friend Caitlin were eating out for lunch after the farmer's market, and I mentioned to her like, hey, I kind of want to do ice skating, and she was totally down to do it. So then after that lunch, we immediately signed up for learn to skate classes at the San Jose Sharks Arena. But of course before then we wanted to commit and buy skates of our own, which was a weird process because essentially those skates kind of take a while to pick. We picked ours in like 5 or 10 minutes because the store was closing, and we asked the guy like, are these fine? And he said, yeah, that should be fine. So I got black Rydell skates that are made for beginners.
Okay, whatever.
We got our skates. That was like a drive-by skate.
Yeah, literally.
A drive-by skate.
Rush hour, God. 5 minutes. Oh my God.
That was the real challenge, finding skates in 5 minutes.
And making sure they fit.
We ended up going back the next day just to double check, and then the guy that was working that one said that other guy should have said don't buy skates because you cannot pick skates in like 10 minutes. But I ended up buying the correct skates. Caitlin had to return hers and get a different size, but other than that, it was actually pretty okay. So then came week 1, which was January 11th, where we went to the San Jose Sharks Arena, where they had the learn to skate classes. And honestly, there was a lot of adults that were signed up for this class, which I'll get onto the next time when I go to the next week. But during this time, me and Caitlin learned like the basics, which was swizzles, stops, and sometimes we were doing little spins, as well as sometimes putting our leg up. But at this point, I was kind of scared because I was like, I'm afraid of falling, which our coaches recognize that as an adult, you're afraid to fall. As a child, you're probably not that afraid to fall. But there's a lot of things that come with when you're an adult and fall, because you can't go to work the next day if something kind of happens to you. Like, there's a lot more risk. So then came week 2, which was January 18th, and we basically reviewed what we did the week prior, as well as starting to go backwards. Backwards was really hard, so we was doing like backwards swizzles, which was the biggest thing. But backwards is really hard, and you really have to think about going backwards because it's not an easy process. But also at the same time, this week we decided to go to a free skate, which is like a public skate where anyone can pay a fee and then you just skate around. And we decided to practice because we can't really learn anything in 1 hour once a week, so we wanted to supplement that by doing some of these free skate classes.
I thought you were stopping.
I was trying to stop. So then we go to January 25th, which was week 3, and sometime in between week 2 and week 3, I got sick following the free skate. There was just also a lot of children at the free skate, so I think someone had something and it was not good. So I was sick and I was like hating my life when I was sick, and I thought maybe I shouldn't go to the skate, but I felt good and we ended up learning crossovers for the first time, which is like the bane of my skating thing. I hate crossovers, but crossovers are basically the stepping stone for everything else you're gonna do in skating. So yeah, it was just really hard. So the next week, which was February 1st, we didn't have a class because there was another kind of event going around in the area, in the arena, and to supplement that missing class, we went to do a free skate. And once I got home, I was also watching Medalists at the same time, which is an anime about a young girl who's learning how to figure skate, and her coach was someone who wanted to go to the Olympics but was told he was very old. Great anime, by the way, but what had happened with that one when I was watching Medalists, it was funny because the coach was saying like, hey, can you show me how you do like swizzles and crossovers and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, I know what they're talking about. It's not like some random thing. So I was really excited to see that. So then came week 4, which was February 8th, and we also reviewed a lot of the material, as well as did more crossovers, and then started to do lunges, which were very difficult. So then after the class, we actually went to Ramen Wakuse, which is of course a ramen shop around Cupertino, which is kind of near San Jose area, and it was really good. And of course, me and Caitlin always have great ideas when we're eating lunch, so at that point we're like, hey, maybe we should go watch Disney on Ice as like a joke. It was not a joke. We ended up buying tickets the night of, and we're set to go on Disney on Ice to kind of see what we kind of like learned and see how that applies to Disney on Ice, which I know it's a different kind of ice skating that is more show ice skating versus like the more technical ice skating, but I just wanted to see. I haven't watched Disney on Ice in that long since I was like a child. Then week 5 came around, which was February 15th, and now we were learning backwards crossovers. And backwards crossovers, regular crossovers for me were already hard. Backwards just don't even. That was it. I'm still working on my crossovers. But at this point, because it had been a long weekend, or was going to be a long weekend, we decided to do a free skate on Monday, which I feel like was February 17th. For the President's Day, and on that day there was actually an adults only skate, so it was all adults, so there was a lot of free space to actually do some stuff and actually film when there's not a lot of children. So everything was going well. We were doing we were going an hour and a half, nothing happened. But then, of course, 30 minutes before the free skate was over, I fall backwards on the ice in the middle of the rink and hit my head.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
I've kind of gathered at that point that I probably had a mild concussion, just because I've kind of know the signs of a concussion, because I work with a lot of people that have concussions and like brain injuries, and yeah, not doing so hot. I was not doing so hot. I went home, just got a lot of rest, and decided, okay, I guess we're still doing this for another 6 weeks. So then week 6 came around, which was February 22nd, and I was kind of still shaken up by what had happened a few days prior, that I debated whether or not I was going to skate this day. But at this point, Aaron came with us because we were also going to the SJ Sticker Fest after the class and got some footage for us, but you know, I was like, do I go? But I was already there, so I said, to get over this fear, I need to go back on the ice. And I said, well, of course, if you're gonna make us go backwards, I'll probably like sit out on it. And what does my coach do first? I was like, okay, since we're so good at forwards, let's start with backwards. And I was like, no. But it turned out okay. I think if I had not gone back on the ice, I think I would have been like, I don't want to do these classes anymore. It was like, I was just shooken up by hitting my head, that I was like, maybe this isn't for me. You know, I was being too ambitious and I need to calm it down. But of course, then we went to Sticker Fest and I was like, okay, everything's fine. I think I'm okay. So starting from the halfway mark from week 5, to like the end of our classes, we just did a lot of review, and a lot of the review of course was the crossovers. So if you find me like going fast on some weeks, it was because we were just learning crossover over crossover over crossover over crossover, which, as I mentioned, is the basis point of a lot of these figure skating moves. So that is why. But week 7, I think we just reviewed, and then we went to Disney on Ice, which was amazing, by the way. Because me and Caitlin had been learning how to do some of these simple moves, we've realized like a lot of skating, as we see in Disney on Ice, is a lot of swizzles, a lot of crossovers, and of course jumps and all that stuff. But like, it's just different speeds. And you just gotta be fluid with the motion. But Disney on Ice is 10 out of 10. I would recommend. The one thing I would not recommend though, the food, outrageous prices. I saw a family pay like $17 for a cotton candy, and I was like, oh my god, that is such a ripoff. But I get it. I debated myself about getting a snow cone with Olaf on it, but I resisted because I was like, yeah, man, I don't want it that much. Then week 8, March 8, basically review as well. So then week 9, which is March 15th, we did a lot of review, but I also learned how to do a hockey glide, which helps with turning. There's probably a video of me on some of what I'm talking about, kind of going over my face. Am I doing it correctly? Maybe, maybe not, but you know. But on this day, we also went to Palo Alto because Caitlin wanted to get fruit from the Stanford shopping center, and we just decided to eat also at a fish and chips place and just kind of shop around in the Stanford shop. Then week 10, or March 22, came around. At this point, me and Caitlin were just reviewing a lot, and we were getting tired of the review and just waking up early to go to these classes. But we went and reviewed a lot, and I think I learned attitudes, which is kind of like the first step to like a one of the one leg spin. So then on March 29th, of course we reviewed, but I also went to another free skate, and this time I'm kind of wearing a helmet because I'm like doing all these reviews. And then at this point, I've come to realize, and Caitlin pointed out to me, I've been doing crossovers for the past 6 weeks wrong. And it's not on my code. It's mainly because in a lot of these classes we have a lot of people in these classes, so if you don't really ask for help, and they're not really looking, it's easy to miss. So I come to realize that my crossovers, I wasn't fully crossing over, and of course because I was practicing it that way for 6 weeks, I kind of got used to doing them incorrectly. But in this free skate we did on this week, the whole session was just me reviewing crossovers with Caitlin watching me, as well as backwards crossovers, which I could do on a wall. Not too confident to do it without a wall. So then our last class for the 12th week was on April 5th, and for that class I mainly reviewed, and I think we learned some new things, but honestly I can't remember what we learned because a lot of it, of course, still crossovers. But then after that, me and Caitlin celebrated the end of our classes with a hot pot, Moomoo's hot pot, and
there we go. There. We're done! Woo! Never doing this again!
From then we were like, okay, we're just going to do skating for once a month or once a month at least, so we don't forget these skills. So we've actually went back to do skating just recently within this past week, which when I'm filming this is April 26th. So we ended up actually going on April 20th to do a free skate, which we kind of reviewed, and we also kind of taught Caitlin's brother Barrett how to do some of the skills that we learned, which he said is very difficult. So the fact that we could do it very easy now versus the first week when I was trying to do it means that we made good progress in them. So now the question is, would I do it again? Yes, with some capacity. So I say yes with some capacity because would I take the group classes again? Maybe, but if honestly, a lot of the time I did learn a lot from just doing the free skates. It'd be helpful, of course, if I got a private coach, but my goal is basically learning how to skate. I'm not planning to do competitions, which some people end up doing. It would be nice to know how to eventually learn how to do a scratch pin or at least one jump, but kind of scared to do that. But at least a scratch pin in the future. But we did make friends with people in the class because of course we were doing 12 weeks. So I think one of our friends that we made is going to take private lessons, and then hopefully will kind of share that knowledge with us to teach us how to do some of the things that she learned, because the learn to skates are very helpful. But of course I found that it was sometimes, especially for the beginner classes, even though a lot of people had left after the first class, which it's insane to me because the 12 weeks of classes were $300, and I can't imagine dropping $300 and then just attending one class. But to each their own. But because there was like about 10 people in my class, but in total for the beginning class there's probably like 20 people, and we're not sharing the whole rink because during that class there's also an intermediate as well as an advanced section of the class. So we are essentially on like the 1/3 of the icing rink trying to do these things, which is not that much room. So I felt like most of the time I was just scared falling, but also falling and then causing another person to fall because I fell. So I think I wouldn't necessarily do another learn to skate class, but I would love to learn kind of on my own as well. But in terms of would I continue skating, yeah, it was a really great exercise to do, and it was pretty fun when I didn't fall. But it was a great skill to learn regardless, and I'm glad that am I gonna be the next Olympian? No, I did not think that was gonna happen. That's not one of my goals, but did I make the goal of like actually learning how to skate and do some of the moves? Yeah, so I'm kind of happy about that. But yeah, with that, thank you so much for watching this video. I really don't know how this video turned out. So when I first initially planned this video, I wanted to be like, okay, I'm gonna take videos in the class, take videos in like the public skates, but I mainly could only do it in the public skates just because it was kind of hard to take videos during class, and I also I mean, I'm not that person that is comfortable in doing that in class, so I don't know what was kind of seen, but we'll do it in the editing mode, you know. But with that, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you liked it. If you know how to figure skate, what do you know? Or if you wanted to learn how to figure skate, I would totally recommend it. It's a fun exercise to do because you're working out a lot of your body. Yeah, with that, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!